Hey guys, in this video we're going to be covering the electron transport chain. In the last video we covered the Krebs cycle, and the video before that we covered glycolysis, and this is the third video in our cellular respiration series. So in this video we're going to be talking about the final step of cellular respiration, the step in which we finally make the energy-rich molecule ATP. So as a recap, in the first two steps of glycolysis and the Krebs cycle, we made a whole bunch of NADH and FADH2 energy-rich molecules. We made some carbon dioxide byproduct, and we made about 4 molecules of ATP. So what happens in the electron transport chain? Well, there's a space in the mitochondria called the intermembrane space. And it's in this space that a so-called electron transport chain occurs. So remember how we had those energy-rich NADH and FADH2 molecules? Well, now we're going to pass the hydrides that were on them through the electron transport chain in order to create ATP. But how does this work? Well, remember, NADH has a hydride ion and a whole bunch of electrons. So the electrons that are on the NADH are actually going to be passed through the sequence called the electron transport chain, and the hydrides are going to be released. Additionally, the matrix of the mitochondria, the inner part of the mitochondria, has a lot of oxygen, as we've already discussed in past videos. Because of this, the hydride ions and the oxygen are going to combine to form water, and that's going to be another molecular byproduct. So as these electrons move through the electron transport chain, they're going to create a gradient. Remember, we talked about the chemical gradient being the movement of atoms or electrons in a general direction from high to low. And as the electrons move through this electron transport chain, hydrogen ions that are in a large concentration here in the matrix are actually going to move across through the intermembrane space. And it's going to create a large concentration of H plus ions. Now, how does this actually help in the final step, in which we need to actually create a whole lot of ATP so the cell can have energy to perform function? Well, these H plus ions are then going to pass through a protein structure called ATP synthase. And as they flow through ATP synthase, this enzyme is going to rotate, and due to its rotation, ADP is attached to a phosphate, and that creates ATP. So in basic, we're using NADH and FADH2 energy-rich molecules. We're transferring electrons through this chain of proteins. We're making water as a byproduct. We're moving hydrogen ions across, and then we're funneling them through an enzyme to create ATP. So basically, in this process of cellular respiration, what we have done is we've started with one molecule of glucose. We've combined it and oxidized it to form pyruvate. We formed it into a molecule called acetyl-CoA, which is then fixed through a process called the Krebs cycle. Energy-rich NADH and FADH2 molecules are created that are then passed through the electron transport chain, and through various chemical reactions, we create ATP. And that's basically a general idea of cellular respiration, going from glucose and oxidizing molecules to create an energy-rich molecule